Erik and David, those betting magicians pitching mad numbers like surgeons' decisions. They got the stats playing minds like percussion. MLB predictions spark the discussion. Stacking cash high in Fenway's monster. Slinging wild bets like cowboy imposters. Reading those innings like Nostradamus. Wave the green hot streaks like Bahamas. Spreadsheets everywhere, mathematician minds analyze the games, profits they grind, fastballs, curveballs, every pitcher's tail, in their heads, knuckleballs never fail. Erik reading numbers like tarot cards, David calling shots like all-star guards, money lines, parlays, come hit with precision, home run predictions, no intermission. High stakes, ballers cashing checks in, rise with the bets, swinging from the pen. Erik and David, masters of scoreboard. MLB bets and claim they hoard. High stakes, ballers cashing checks in, rise with the bets, swinging from the pen. Erik and David, kings of the ledger. Baseball fortune spread them like treasure.
Hello and welcome to Diamond Bets for July 26th. How is everyone doing? My name is Erik and my co-host is David, aka Better DP21. Dude, been 2 weeks, took 2 weeks off. How you doing, my man? How you been?
Doing well, man. Kind of enjoyed, the refresh, little all-star break, always kind of gives us that moment of just a pause and, kind of just, looking into the second half here, how we're going to, tackle some of these, winning maneuvers together. So, yeah, man, enjoyed the time off. Definitely glad to be back here. So thanks again for kicking us up this week.
Big move. It's rumored, I guess. I don't know if it's official. The Rays are sending Randy, whose name I can't pronounce.
Arozarena. I saw that.
Arozarena to the Marlins. Not Marlins, to the Mariners. I think this is a great move. Yeah. They're not really giving up that many, like, quote unquote, top tier prospects. They got a bat, and that's kind of what they're lacking. They really are struggling to produce runs. They have those great arms. I'm not going to lie. As soon as I saw this, I threw a quarter unit on them at 25-1 to win it all. I think this is a move that could actually propel the Mariners to get into the dance, and with the pitching that they have, anything could happen. And they're basically tied with the Astros, and the Astros have been so inconsistent this year. I think there's some value on that bet. What do you think?
I agree. I mean, especially for their conference in the West, I really like how this positions them. It's a strong at bat. Only bolsters their offense a little bit more. They've even had some people that they've kind of circulated into the organization, like Robles as well, that came over from Washington. He's had a resurgence since he's been over there in the Mariners organization as well. So, just another big bat in the outfield or DH spot, whatever they want to do with him, to fix that lineup correctly. I mean, they are neck and neck with Houston right now. I mean, it's a pretty tight race in general in the West. I mean, you're talking about former champs with Texas only being 2.5 out. You got Seattle a game out, Houston leading that. But, it's going to really come down to the health of everybody's pitching staff and, coming down this stretch here over the next couple months.
And who knows? I mean, the Tigers are rumored to trade Skubal to the Oreos. Jesus, to the I always say Oreos. And I have no idea why. Maybe it's the fact I'm on this goddamn diet and I'm craving an Oreo, but I don't know. I guess the big hiccup is they want Holiday.
Yeah.
And the O's aren't willing to part with Holiday. They want
shouldn't.
So I mean,
they absolutely should not. That is a cornerstone of your future. I know they had a brief call up, didn't produce like they expected out of the gate, but man, I mean, kid's so young. You're not giving up something like that.
So and it's frustrating as a Tigers fan just because they keep on telling us 2027. Before that, it was 2024. You know what I mean? They keep on
moving that goalpost.
I'm not the biggest AJ Hinch guy. I kind of feel without the cheating, he's not that good of a skipper. Call me crazy. But I don't know. I just kind of feel that if I'm the Tigers, you're in the driver's seat. You have the asset that they want.
Yep.
So I would definitely try to get him. I don't know if they'll do it, but I would definitely say this is the one piece I need. And if they're able to get that for the Tigers moving forward. I think that is huge.
Right.
And for the O's, this could be the move that gives them, a shot to win it all.
I mean, Baltimore's so deep in their farm system, though. I mean, just across their entire organization, they have the bandwidth, trade pieces, probably even the money too to back it up and just solidify where they are. I really like the Orioles to make a very deep run, this postseason.
They kind of remind me of how my Tigers were when they had Verlander, Scherzer, Fister,
yeah,
Porcello.
Right. I remember that.
They had all those guys, and they just flooded and got rid of everybody. Yeah. And they went all in. They had a good 2 to 3 year run, but then everything just fell off, and they just haven't got back to where it's been. And then we look at some of these other teams. Look at a team like the Brewers. I mean, what is this, like year 8 of them just being in it? Yeah. You know what I mean? They're just, and they're
a model of consistency.
You know what I mean? They're a mid-market team.
Yep.
It's not like they're spending a lot of money. They made one big move, got Yelich from the Marlins back, but they signed what's his name, the catcher, William Contreras.
Yep.
They've been able to pick up these guys on low budget that are kind of toward the end of their career, and they've done a great job drafting. You look at the young guys they have coming up. I mean, that's kind of the model I wish the Tigers would follow. But you know what? We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about some betting. Let's go ahead. Let's bring up how we did 2 weeks ago. Absolutely killed it. David went a business casual 3-0 on the season. He is 9-6 plus 3.59 I went 2-1. I am 10-7-1 plus 4.75 We're doing good. If you guys have been tailing along, and my internet is hicking up, so if I start cutting out, I apologize. Comcast isn't being so Comcastic right now. David, your first bet. Lay it on me, big dog.
All right, so first game that I'm looking at on the board today, very undervalued team here post All-Star break. So looking at Miami versus Milwaukee. Looking at the first 5 for this game. I'll get into the reasons why here in a minute, but looking at that money line, plus 193, almost 2-1 odds on what you're getting here for value with this price here. But way that I'm looking at this game is pretty straightforward. Miami right now, coming after the All-Star break, they split the series with the Mets. Then they won the series against Baltimore. So again, great competition from both those angles for themselves. They're pretty much on fire right now. When just overall looking at like a 6-4 record, post break here, or and so basically, but they're hitting. Their offense is clicking right now. Is where I'm going at with this one, right? So basically, the way that I line these two teams up is you got Marlins for me right now. And this is also kind of why we, took a pause around, just after the All-Star break, or because, you come right in, you got to see how these teams are feeling after getting some good rest for their players, where their offense is going to be, what, pieces they're moving around a little bit here before the trade deadline. It's things to watch for, right? So that being said, Miami, like I said, just after the last 2 series here, playing at home, they were on a pretty good winning roll for themselves. Their offense right now is my number 5 overall offense walking into this weekend. So I really like the opening series here against Milwaukee, because on the opposite end, Milwaukee's offense for me is number 25. They are just not hitting the ball. They're not coming out of the gate pretty hot right now. Miami is, and then, when we actually really kind of get into the deeper numbers, again, I always mention this on a lot of our podcasts here and stuff, but you got like 3 different sections you got to be looking at, right? Starting pitching, offense, bullpens. The bullpens for these are looking pretty sharp, for at least Milwaukee. From Miami's perspective, though, their available bullpens getting worked a little bit. They're sitting up around a 1.45 whip for themselves right now. So it's something I want to stay away from. Anytime I see that 1.4, whip range in terms of how they're letting people on base, I'm staying away from that. I don't want to introduce the bullpen on the opposite end, let's get into starting pitching, right? So you're looking at Trevor Rogers going on the mound for Miami. In his last 3 starts, he's throwing a 1.28 whip out there. Really sharp numbers here. Under a 3 ERA at 2.8. He is doing very, very well. He's in really good form coming into this game. Good rest, I'm sure, ahead of him. So, from that perspective, I really like the starting pitching. I love the offense for Miami. They're checking 2 of my 3 boxes for myself to get this one in the right position. Meanwhile, on the opposite end, you got Freddie Peralta going for the Brewers. He's sitting there, though, right at that 1.4 whip. So, again, he's not in the best of form for himself. You got Rogers in better form. You got hotter bats with Miami right now. And it's just an undervalued team because of public perception of looking at, who they're playing. They're playing against the Brew Crew, everybody, like you just said, model of consistency of winning. That is how people are looking at this matchup as they're taking it into this weekend. Meanwhile, though, Miami's very undervalued with where they are with their offense and this starting pitching performance before us. So really like all those factors in our favor. Like the price on this, 193. You're looking really, really sharp here. Let's go get 2-1 on our money.
I like it. I actually tailed you on this. I also kind of look at it as a good situational spot. The Brewers just beat the Cubs. That's the big rivalry here. That's all everyone talks about around this area. And they have the big series on the Braves on deck. Yelich isn't playing. I think this is a good kind of letdown spot, so to speak. So I actually bet this here. I actually am on the Marlins with you as well. Nice. My first bet, do you know who the hottest hitter post All-Star break against left-handed pitching is?
I don't know. Could it be Tyler O'Neill?
Old man Tyler O'Neill. 313, 404 on base percentage, 632 slugging percentage. He's been the best hitter against left-handed pitching. Courts is on the mound for, the Yanks against righties this year. 257 batting average, 1.21 whip. First start post All-Star game against righties. Righties batted 400, on base percentage 455, slugging percentage 900. Look, I have a hot bat in O'Neill going at someone that has struggled for the season against right-handed pitching, against right-handed hitters, and post All-Star break. And I'm getting plus money and total and over 1.5 bases. Just makes sense to me. So I'm going to take Tyler O'Neill over 1.5 bases. Sorry, plus 109.
I love that. I really do. I just happened to, in real time, look up, through my fantasy lineup where he says he's the number 11 overall ranked offensive player in the last week. The man, his bat is on fire. Let's go.
So hopefully we can keep it going. Dude, you're on another one. I like. Tell us why you like.
Oh, yeah. So getting right into the same flow here, right? So we got the Yankees at Boston. This is one of those classic matchups. I love, trying to put out analytics around these kinds of matchups for, anybody to hear, just because, these are the kinds of games that people are going to be dialed in on, looking at the most watched games, probably, going into the weekend series here. So the way that I looked at this game, again, very similar, position, what's the offense look like? What's your starting pitching look like? What's your bullpen look like? Right. So from that end, the way that I have this one rated right now is that the Boston is my number 2 overall offensive team, right? Again, you're going to hear a trend in offense when I'm talking about my betting. I never bet on teams that are not producing runs, and Boston is absolutely doing that. Just at leisure for themselves right now. I mean, they couldn't be a hotter hitting team. They're averaging 7 runs a game. I mean, and then not only that, let's couple it now getting into the starting pitching, right? So, the way that I look at this again is the starting pitcher with Nestor Cortez. His whip is close to 1.6 with an ERA of 7. I mean, you're talking about a man who's just, not in great form whatsoever for himself. I expect Boston to come out and jump on top of him real early. Other side of the ball, we got Bray and Bello going for Boston and the Red Sox here. Now, he hasn't been in great form, but he's definitely doing the job. He's getting innings here, right? Again, his whip is right at that 1.4 mark too, but he's in better form than Cortez. And I really like him to I've been watching him because he's also on my fantasy team. So I've been watching his performance, and I definitely have been seeing a trend of getting to that better position that he did in the beginning parts of the season. So he's definitely in better form than Cortez overall, just from a starting pitching perspective. Their bullpens are both in the same form for themselves. Each of these bullpens are sporting, or available bullpens are both sporting a 1.1 whip right now. So, as whenever they decide to take the ball out of the hands of their starter here, they're in good hands when it gets to the bullpen is how I'm looking at this. So I'm playing it for the full game with that perspective. Plus 105. Again, you're getting plus money on this. Even money really kind of in, my perspective. But, I really like Boston at home here with the hotter bats, better starting pitching, even on the, relief pitching side of the ball. So let's go get some more plus money on this team.
I like it. I'm on him too. Just to add another layer to your thing, buying low, selling high. They just gave up 20 runs to your Rockies. I think this is a little bit inflated because of that. So I agree with you too. I'm on the Red Sox as well. My next bet going out to Kansas City. Give me the Royals -0.5, first 5 -109. Since the All-Star break, Royals best offense versus right-handed pitching. And I think I froze again.
Nope, you're good.
All right. Hendricks is on the mound for the Cubs. This season, he's been brutal. ERA plus 6.69, 1.49 whip. Worse on the road, 7.08 ERA, 1.43 whip. First start back since the All-Star break, he struggled, 1.21 whip, gave up 5.40 ERA. I think they are going to be able to get to Hendricks. When we look at Hendricks for the first 5 this season, 31%. If you've just bet on Hendricks, negative 31.3% ROI. Royals this season have been excellent at home first 5, 59%. 4% ROI. When they're home favorites, they are 73%, 13% ROI. And at home this year against righties, 62%, 8% ROI. And since the All-Star break, we were talking about the Royals pitcher before we started recording. Since the All-Star break, Cubs have the worst offense against right-handed pitching. They are really struggling to get to right-handed pitching. I think that trend's going to continue. I'm going to take the hot bats with the Royals post All-Star break, and they've just been consistent all year, constantly winning the first 5 innings at home. So I'm going to take the Royals here. First 5, -0.5, -109.
I mean, that just goes model consistency of that hot take from a few weeks ago. Cheaters on the road, winners at home, right? Like, let's just keep that momentum going here.
When you look at the numbers, the Royals, there's something going on there. You know what I mean? Like, if it was just a little bit, I wouldn't think anything of it. But when you see how the Royals are at home and when the Royals are at home, that's a huge difference. All I'm saying is there's something funky going on in Kansas City.
I don't disagree with you. And if they win tonight, it's more proof.
If they win tonight, I'm going to tweet it out and say cheaters win. Let's go Royals.
What's up?
Next bet. Where are we going, my friend?
All right. Last bet for myself this weekend, or just for tonight anyway, not this weekend. But looking at Colorado. I got to turn the hat around for this one. We're gonna rep the team a little bit here. So, going Colorado at San Francisco. So, this one, I got the Rockies money line for the game plus 157. Again, big dog money here for ourselves. Again, looking at all this situationally, we got Rockies offense exploded against Boston at the end here. I mean, they did end up winning the series against them as well. So they're definitely on the right side here. They walked in and won their series against San Francisco, who was just here in Colorado, Then they won the next one against Boston. Again, another hot hitting team post All-Star break. They're just going to keep that momentum going tonight, going back into San Francisco. The way that I'm looking at this is just with their bats. I mean, they are, again, one of my top 2 offensive teams walking into this series this weekend. Giants aren't too bad. They're just below my top 10. They're just outside of it. So they're my number 12 overall offensive team. But then when I start matching up, what these starting pitchers look like on paper, you got Freeland going for Colorado, and his whip is outstanding right now. 1.1 ERA, just north of 2 at 2.2. He is in really good form walking into this for himself. Harrison on the other side isn't terrible, but again, he's at a 1.39. I always tell you to throw caution about that 1.4 marker. I've been saying it this whole time tonight too. But he's in just a little worse shape from a starter's perspective. Then from there, again, looking at the available bullpens, both these bullpens are pretty taxed, and it's to go without saying, but they're getting the job done. Rockies bullpen's a little bit better shape. They're at 1.5. I really like the price on this. If you go first 5, you're looking at 125 for your money line. I really just kind of wanted to go all in for the game here. I really think that Freeland's going to get some stretch innings for them being in good form. Really get them to the 6th and, right about that point where they really need to bring in maybe a couple guys to close this thing out. So I really like where this is at for the Rockies. I mean, hot hitting bats, winners of both 2 of the last 3 series, San Francisco being one of them. Just going to go back and knock on their door, get this first win out the gate, and keep that momentum going with more dog money for ourselves here.
I like it. And again, it looks like I froze again when you're
talking.
You're
good. You're good.
Comcastic's not Comcastic. I'm not going to lie. I'm really digging that hat. You're going to have to send me the link to where you got that bad boy. I like the Rockies here too. One of the better offenses. And the wind is actually going to be blowing out 10 miles per hour at the old, I still call it candlestick, even though it's like not candlestick at all.
Right.
Wind's going to be blowing out in San Francisco. So I definitely like that bet. I like the Rockies bats. I think they're going to be able to get to the Giants. Agree with you 100%. My next bet, going to my new favorite baseball player, Lawrence Butler, over 1.5 bases, plus 122. Since the All-Star break, 3rd best hitter against right-handed pitching. Crazy here. Every single game post All-Star break, he's gone over this total, which is mind-boggling to me. When you look against the Angels, 4 of his last 5 games against the Angels this season, he's gone over this season. Batting against the Angels this season, 347. Against the pitcher for the Angels, Fulmer, he went over this total last game. Look, I think it's going to continue. I just like riding hot bats at this time of the season. I do player props, so I'm going to keep riding it. I'm going to take Lawrence Butler over 1.5 bases at plus 122.
I can't even believe he's getting that high odds. I mean, he is a multi-hit performer since the break, and he's put up at least 2 runs a game for himself. I mean, if not stealing bags, I mean, I think you get there pretty easy on this one.
I hope so, man. I hope so, David.
And I also love Oakland tonight. I mean, that's another thing over LA. Oakland's been one of those teams that's just underrated enough that if you look at their team where they've kind of been over the last. I mean, they're 7-3 over their last 10. I mean, they are rolling. So yeah, like I said, very undervalued team here in the market. To be getting such a great price, in my opinion, against the Angels of all teams.
I'm not gonna lie, I am slowly waiting for my $50 Oakland Athletics hat to arrive in the mail. Looks like my internet's starting to freeze, so we're gonna sign off. But before we do that, David, why don't you just run through every single bet that you are making today with the odds?
Okay, yeah, sure. So looking at today's games, plays that I just gave out, looking again at Miami on the first 5 money line, plus 193. Looking at Boston as well on the money line for the game at plus 105. And looking at the Rockies money line for the game, plus 157.
I like it. I'm going Lawrence Butler over 1.5 total bases at plus 122. Royals -0.5, minus 109. And Tyler O'Neill over 1.5 bases at plus 109. We'll be back next week. But before we go, David, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you on social media, my friend?
Yeah, like as usual, look for me on Twitter, Instagram. BetterDP21 is the handle. Happy to talk shop about anything. You got questions about a specific matchup, let me know. Happy to talk.
And follow me on eToff21 Sports. Those watching on YouTube, hit that like, hit that subscribe, leave a comment. Helps David and I out. We'll be back next week sharing our MLB bets. And let's make some money, and best of luck if you tail.